You can grow extremely fast on LinkedIn if you know what actually works. I've worked with about 300 coaches and consultants and helped most of them scale to six figures, if not multi-six figures. And there's one massive shift that gives people this unfair advantage. And in this video, I'm going to break it down because most people have no idea just how much their fear of looking stupid is costing them. So I'm in London right now in a hotel. I traveled here from Manchester where we just hosted our first ever 2-day client event, C2C Live. We're in the room with clients taking action. It was amazing. Now, at the end of day one, my friend and the videographer for the event pulled me aside and he said, "Chris, I want everyone to form like an aisle or a path that you can walk down and we'll get them all clapping and smiling while you walk down it." And I was like, no, that is too cringe for me. He's like, "Trust me, just do it. It'll look amazing on the edit that I'm doing." Now, not many things like make me feel uncomfortable, but this did. I wasn't worried about the walking. I was worried about what people might think that I thought I was, but I did it anyway, even though it was super uncomfortable. And you know what? It was fine. It was actually pretty funny. But the lesson that this was wrapped up in is something I've seen on YouTube a bit recently, this trend, which is be more cringe and doing stuff that makes you feel like, oh God, this isn't me, and like feel some sort of resistance towards doing it. And just after I pushed through that moment of discomfort, here's what happened after. One of our clients opened up and actually started crying. She asked a question, which I won't go into, but she wanted to leave the room. We had all the questions written out on a board and I was going through them. So she knew that her question was coming up and I pushed her a bit on it and she cried. It was something that she was scared to share. She probably knew that her thoughts were getting in the way and it felt very cringe for her to even talk about it. But myself and the team helped to break through it. We broke everything down. Other clients as well sort of helped her out. Then the next day I prepped everyone with a bit of an action talk, said, "Go and take some action. We're going to book calls now." And this lady was seemingly really resistant to do some of the work and to put herself out there. I actually booked 2 calls in a 10-minute slot. Loads of other clients did the same as well. And here's the thing. All I did was give them some message templates and said, right, a 10-minute timer's going on. Do some work. And people actually did it. And within the 10 minutes, they were getting replies. Within the hour, they had calls booked in the diaries. Some sales calls, some just coffee chats where they can ask for referrals. Now, there will have been some people in the room who didn't do the work. So obviously, there was about 50 people there. We couldn't monitor them all. But the pattern was clear. The people that felt the fear and did it anyway, or the people that pushed through the cringe and took the action and embraced it, got the results. And here's a message from Zoe. I'll bring it up on screen. She actually booked 4 calls in 10 minutes. Just because she took action. And this is what it comes down to. Like most coaches and consultants on LinkedIn, on most social media platforms, are just playing it far too safe. They're posting generic business tips that could have been written by anyone. They're sharing insights fresh out of ChatGPT simply because they don't want to put their own thoughts out there because they'll be a bit too different to everyone else. So what this results in is their ideal clients just scrolling past because they're in the sea of the same shit. And the reality is, if you're trying to sell on LinkedIn, you have to think about the fact that your target market don't hang around on there all day. They're not content creators, I imagine. They're busy people. They're running their businesses. They're dealing with clients. They're trying to work out the next move, fix problems, put out fires. So when they do hop over to LinkedIn for like 10, 20 minutes a day, what's going to get their attention? Is it going to be someone saying,
"Another 5 tips for productivity"?
Or is it going to be a post that makes them stop and go,
"Who the fuck is that guy?"
Because that's what you want. And look, I'm not saying you have to do anything stupid or unprofessional. There is a difference between being yourself and being an idiot. Unless, of course, you're an idiot. But here's how you can be more cringe in a way that actually builds business. The first thing is actually sharing uncomfortable truths. So instead of saying like 5 ways to improve your mindset, which is obviously generic, fluffy bullshit, you could say, "I spent 15 grand on a mindset coach and here is the reason that it was the worst decision I've ever made." That prompts curiosity. That makes people feel uncomfortable even reading it. It creates contrast between you and everyone else. It changes the narrative because you're not doing what everyone else is doing. But it's also honest. And honesty cuts through. And that ties in quite well with point number 2, which is telling the stories that you actually don't want to tell. We've all got stories that we think are like too personal for LinkedIn. The failed business, the moment that you broke down into tears in your car after a client meeting, the time you had to borrow money to pay your VA. But those stories are gold. Everyone else is out here posting about their wins and how their business is amazing and all their fantastic client results. But if you can show the real journey, the messy journey, this is stuff that humans actually relate to. And this leads into the last point in this section, which is take the contrarian approach. If everyone in your industry is saying one thing, then just do the opposite. I've just written out today, I've called them the Chris James operating principles. I'm a bit of a geek. I know it doesn't look like it sometimes, but I am. Anyway, I've made this list of 10 operating principles. And one of those things was when everyone else zigs, you zag. It's a well-known phrase. So I am pretty hot on being different to any of our competitors. And that can be hard. because I say stuff I know a lot of them are probably too scared to say. And I'm scared to say it as well. But if they're all over here, I want to be here, playing the opposite, creating contrast. And here's why that works so well. When you post something vulnerable, you're demonstrating vulnerability. And vulnerability creates much more of a connection than any polished content ever will. People don't buy from perfect people. They buy from people they can relate to, people that feel real. And when you share something cringe, you're basically saying, I'm human, I make mistakes. And that is magnetic. And it goes down incredibly well on LinkedIn because at the moment, the place is swamped with AI bullshit. I've actually got a free 15-minute training about how you can reach six figures as a coach or a consultant on LinkedIn. Completely free. If you want it, I will stick the video under this video. How can you actually implement all of this without damaging your reputation? I'd advise firstly, just starting small. If there's a bit of apprehension there about you sharing some of the stories that you have or the opinions that you have, you can kind of just edge your way into it. It might just be like admitting you don't know something or just sharing a mistake that you made last week. You don't need to start jumping in, sharing your deepest, darkest business secrets. What you can do is sort of build up the cringe tolerance, like gradually. And when you start to do this, pay attention to the levels of response. All right. Likes and comments. Yeah, whatever. But overall, what attention are you getting from people? What response are you provoking from them? Because I guarantee once you've done this for a little while, you'll see a massive difference between content like this and those polished business posts that everyone else obsesses over. I will say this though, every post should have some sort of a point. You don't just want to start oversharing for the sake of it. It's best to make sure that every vulnerable story you share actually links back to either entertainment or something valuable for the audience. And look, I get it. Putting yourself out there feels scary as hell. Sharing the messy parts of your business you might think makes you look unprofessional or like a failure. But your competition's doing the safe, boring stuff. They're all posting the same using the same hooks, get the same clients onto the same offers. You need to be different, and being a bit more cringe is probably a massive competitive advantage for you. So next time you start writing a post or thinking of an idea and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can share this, it's a bit too personal, or this might make me look stupid, that's probably the exact post that you should share. So here's my challenge to you. If you watch this far into the video, this week, I want you to share one piece of content that makes you feel uncomfortable. Share something that you've been holding back and just see what happens. I guarantee you'll get more response, more engagement, more inbound inquiries than any generic bullshit that you've been using in the past. Now, if you want the exact roadmap that I've taken over 300 clients through, then you can click here and watch this video. I break down every single stage one by one. You can click here to watch it. I will see you there in a sec. Until then, stop playing it safe and be more cringe.